Well, look at this. We're filling up, everybody. How we doing? Now we're starting to wake up, getting ready for the admin keynote, which is coming up at 11 o'clock. Moscone West, the building that you're in, third floor, the floor that you're not on, so we got to go a few more up. I have it on good authority, i.e. my text message string, that there is already a line started. So, when you're done with this session, no offense to the next presenter, because they're probably out here glaring at me, and I totally know who you are, I'd get in line. There's overflow that's going to be back where you get your food and beverage, so if you're like me and you have a Adonis-like body and you love to eat and watch things, you could go back and watch it there too. Either way, the biggest thing you can do while you're at this event is make sure your badge gets scanned so that we know you are here and that you can give the presenters feedback because they work super hard, seriously. A lot of the presenters, the guys you're going to see up next, have started this process clear back in May of presenting this content, of creating the content, curating, working on it. They've been sending me decks. There's over 106 sessions in the admin track this year, which is amazing. So I want to make sure you know about that. But without a cord, I need to go upstairs and help my admin relations team get ready for the keynote. I'm going to turn it over to these guys who are going to talk about creating engaging flow experiences. And it's going to be an amazing session. I hope to see you all in the admin keynote, and if not, tomorrow at admin release readiness, which will also be here on the second floor. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, guys, have a great day. Over to these guys now.
Thank you, Mike.
Good morning, all.
Morning.
I hope everybody is tired from yesterday, had a great day, still thinking about how to pass on this next 2 days, starting from today and tomorrow. We are going to talk about a lot of content today, and hoping this is going to be useful for all of you who have actually joined us this session. So primarily what we are going to talk about today is that how can you create your flows to be more engaging with reactive flows. I am sure you might have heard about single page architecture. So how that is actually going to be inculcated into this particular flows through the Salesforce recent release, which is going to happen as part of this. I am Vijay Gupta. I'm CTO of Ethereus as part of Salesforce Boutique, who delivers industries products implementation.
Hi, I'm Rohit Suri. I work as an enterprise architect at Ethereus alongside Vijay. Nice to see you all.
So nothing starts from without saying thank you to Salesforce, to all of you, to the community, to all the admins, Salesforce developers, to the entire community, architects, everybody. Because without them, the Salesforce is not going to sustain for the customers where we are all bringing value to our customers, right? So a big thank you to all of you. And nothing goes without this slide of forwarding-looking statement. There are certain things which we are going to talk about today, which is currently in the beta release, which is going to be released in future. But please make your buying decisions based on the forward-looking statement. Today, the agenda that we are going to follow in is what is reactivity and how do you see reactivity in action? The flows which are already with us as part of Salesforce features without reactivity. Then talking about reactive flows. Then multiple use cases and a demo aligned to that, that how you can use reactivity or reactive flows to build your business use cases through an admin and a developer's lens. And then tips for building a reactive flow as part of our today's session. I am sure everybody is looking at that what's in for me in this session, what I am going to learn as part of this session. So primarily we have categorized in two phases. One is for administrators and second is for developers. When we look at developers, it is primarily how do I use my LWs, which I have been building for ages, in terms of the reactive flows. How can I build a component library for flows, reactive components? And then how do I define my business processes, which has been handed over to us as a developer to use and implement through a reactive flow. Whereas when we go for an administration part of it, how and when to use reactive components, how we can actually use LWCs as part of the reactive component, which is already sitting with us in our repository. And then there are several app exchange products components which are there, and how do we integrate that as part of the reactive flows is something which is going to be talked about in today's session, where you will learn about, and there are a couple of tips and tricks about that, how this is going to follow. And this all is aligned towards a code to a no-code strategy when we talk about where we used to build visual force pages, LWCs, Apex, and defining the single page architecture towards a no-code flow where flows are being strengthened with respect to the reactive components, which allows you to build your application in a reactive manner and a single page architecture manner. A very basic question, what is a reactive UI, right? Which primarily talks about that when we look at it in a page or an application, am I getting my reaction or a reaction to that particular action that I'm taking on the page without the page getting refreshed or without me taking any action? So if you look into the example, we are just typing in the text box and it's actually presenting that content into the next section bound down below. It's a very simple example just to show that what is a reactive UI. We have multiple use cases to talk about how this reactive UI can be utilized as part of the flow. Following up, why reactivity, right? Definitely real-time updates and interactivity, which means whatever you do as an action on the page, you don't need to wait for the reaction to happen. So if I'm typing something or if I'm doing some updates on some fields to calculate amount, it automatically pops up without me clicking on the next button in that. Then seamless user experience, which means I don't need to basically wait for multiple screens to go on and find out my output as a final output, right? So the single page architecture gives you a seamless user experience as part of that. Definitely improved performance because you don't need that code to be written to basically go to the server to bring back again and again the data on the screen and reflect that as part of that. And finally, efficient data handling, which means you don't need any additional code to write to basically look into different components and do a next button and go into a wizard type architecture rather than single base architecture. Next is what we want to do is that couple of use cases that we are going to talk about and a follow-up demo that Rohit is going to take over that.
Thank you, Vijay. Thanks. Okay, so the next button, I think all of us have been using wizard-based application and creating a number of flows where we have the next button to keep doing what we want the business to see. And to see that example, what we're going to do is go through a scenario over here. So we are going to take a fictional company, which is Succeed. And Rachel is a sales team member at Succeed. So Rachel helps the student to identify the right courses, provide the right discounts to them, and then help sending payment requests and closing the deals with them so that they can get the right course at the right time at the right price. So what Rachel needs is a payment request generation page. But to do that, currently she has a visual flow or a screen flow, right? And that screen flow has a number of steps that she has to do. So we'll have a look at what her current flow looks like to just achieve a task where she has to send a payment link to the customer so that they can go ahead and make the payment. So, yep. Here is the not so reactive flow. So the flow that keeps waiting for your inputs and keep asking for you to press the next button. So, and now we're going to look at the steps. So like at the very first screen, Rachel has to capture the details of the students, enter those details, and click next. Again, she gets a table where she finds out there is a list of courses, and she picks one of the course and looks at the price and thinks that this course is the most optimal one. Click next. Then comes the pricing and discounting screen. So she looks at the price, comes up with a discount that will be optimal for the student, and then since the student is also interested in an installment-based plan, she comes up with different payment plans and selects them. But is it done? No. She has to click next again because all the calculations will run and surface when she's on the next screen. So that's when the final amount and EMI details come up, and she can see everything that is there. And when she finally clicks next, that's when the payment link goes out to the customer. So Next, next, next. Okay, let's see how this process would look like if there was a reactive flow component used instead of building this screen flow. So I'm going to go over there and start the demo. All right. So what we're seeing over here is a student details page where the details of the students are mentioned. And I'm logged in as Rachel. And I want to go ahead and create a payment request. I'm going to just reduce the screen size a bit so that it's visible. Yep. All right. So as soon as I click on payment request, screen flow comes up. And we can see the details of the student. So all these details have been pulled up from the student record. We can see a course information table where the details of the course are. This has been again pulled up from another object, and we have the pricing everywhere mentioned. And then we have the pricing and discount at the bottom there. So earlier, like I said, when we selected the course, we get the price. But what happens when we apply the discount? Nothing. You have to go to the next screen. So let's do that here. So maybe I'm interested in advanced analytics. I can see that as soon as it's selected, the price of the course, the name of the course, and the price after discount has come up without having to do anything. Now I'll start applying the discount. And as you see, as I keep applying the discount given continues to increase. And I give further discount, I get more discount amount, I can get a message, and I can also get the price after discount. So the calculation of how much is the discount, deducting it from the price of the course, and showcasing the discount all happens on one single screen without the click of any next button. Taking it further, payment details. Okay, like I said, Rachel doesn't want to use, the student wants to use an EMI plan. So let's select a payment partner, maybe one of the payment partners over here. And I say I want to go ahead with an EMI. Again, we get an EMI options table. So you can go ahead with 3, 6, 9, 12, 18. And this is the final price of the course as of now. As soon as I select an EMI plan, we'll see what is the price with the interest and what will be the installment per month. Again, all these calculations which earlier needed you to do the logic and do everything in the backend, and then on the click of next button, these calculations used to happen. It's right there on the screen, right in front of you now. If I had to change these, right? So in the olden days, without reactive components, you would see the calculation, click the back button, go back, and select, OK, let me see how much your installment will be with 6 months. And then you do that. Now, you don't have to go back and forth. You can keep changing your number of months, and your calculations all happen on the same screen at the same time, as we can see over here. And Rachel is now ready to go ahead and submit the payment request. And so it looks like the email did not go. I've been sending too many emails in the mornings trying to test it out. But that's what happens. So everything is there. All the calculations, all the logic, everything happens on the same screen, and you're done with the process without having to go back and forth. Taking it back, I'll just come back here. So what we saw now was how Rachel was able to do the same process, which needed 5 to 6 screens on a single screen, and everything worked seamlessly without having to do any back and forth.
And all done with point and click.
Yes.
No code.
All right. So now that Rachel has saved 3 minutes, she can just save some time, have a cup of coffee, and enjoy the sale that has happened. So taking on to the next one, like what we saw just now was just scratching the surface. There are a number of use cases which are possible, and this is just something that we saw today was very, very basic. But there is art of possible across industries. So if we look at the industry use cases, it can go across industries. Like you can have use cases in commerce where you're doing checkout process and you want to do a lot of calculations, apply EMIs, discounts, and all those processes. In healthcare, to capture and validate the patient information, claim calculations, Banking and finance, again, to calculate the loan, the EMI amount, and do the calculation and show it right then to the customers. And automotive for vehicle configuration and configuration of parts, all those calculations and everything that you are selecting can be shown in real time using these flows. So a lot of things that we used to do earlier with code is now available with point and click, and you don't have to create LWCs. You don't have to write code to get these things working right the way you want. So now what we are going to do is have a look at some of the tips and tricks that you should keep in mind while going ahead and creating React flows with reactive components. So first of all, get over the wizard mindset. Don't think about the next button, right? We have been using wizards, like I said, for ages. Forget about the next button. Try to do everything on a single page. Whatever you can do, you can get. And now you have the tools to help you do that, right? Earlier, we used to make a lot of components. Developers used to help make components for us so that we can use it in a flow. Look at making reusable components, right? So try to create a library which the admins can use, because that will empower the admins more and more to go ahead and use those components as and when needed in the flows you want. Mix up app exchange components. That is because the reactive components are there in your flow, they can interact with the app exchange components, and you can actually create very, very interesting and engaging experiences using that. Keep the data types in mind, right? This is a very important thing while using reactive components. This is something I was also, while I was building this, I realized that, okay, what you are passing from one reactive component to another reactive component to another one, make sure the data types and the calculations and everything are aligned. You cannot pass a text to a number reactive component and then expect the result to come up. So that is very, very important. And lastly, the global variables. As of now, the global variables that are supported is only $flow. So we have a number of global variables that we can use inside flows currently. But slowly and steadily, things will be expanding, and we will be getting more features. So this is what's next on the flow reactivity roadmap. So we have components and formulas as of now. We saw all the things that you saw on the screen today. They were all built up using formulas. Coming up is choice selection, again, and display text, followed by more reactive components like long text area, record choice set, outputs, and record fields. So looking forward to get the hands on these components and the way forward. It will be really, really interesting days to come. So, yeah.
A question, how many have been building LWCs or thinking that I should be knowing how to build an LWC so that I can have a reactive screen or a single page screen? If you have been thinking in that direction, the solution is actually coming to you, which is currently in beta, but you will be able to do that activity using no code, which is flows. That's basically expanding its features day by day and giving more and more no-code ability to the admins to build a lot of business context as well as business processes-oriented functionality as part of our mission.
Yep. So, like I said, do think of use cases and see how you can use them to build experiences where you earlier used to use LWCs or the developers had to be engaged. With reactive components, it is going to be a big change going forward, and the world is going to go very, very different. And please scan the code, provide your surveys. It will really help us, and it will be really good to know what you thought about the session. So again, thanks a lot for the time.
And happy to take any questions or queries anybody has on this topic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. We would love to get your opinion on this content, so please leave us some feedback on the comments section below. If you did like this content, give that like button a tap. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the Salesforce Admins YouTube channel. If you want to learn more about being a Salesforce admin in general, head on over to admin.salesforce.com. Thanks again.